Beijing 2022 Olympic and Paralympic Games are about to commence, but they have been filled with controversies and are being boycotted by 10 countries. So, what have the controversies been? Well, there's been several. For some background, Beijing was selected at the 128th International Olympic Committee session in 2015 in Kuala Lumpur, winning by 4 votes, beating Almaty, Kazakhstan, to be the host city in 2022. The frontrunner was originally Oslo, Norway, but after some of the IOC's interesting demands, such as all meeting rooms must be kept at exactly 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and that the president must have a ceremonious welcome on the runway, Oslo pulled out, leaving the IOC stuck with 2 authoritarian governments. The voting was purportedly for whichever side was believed to be a safer option, so they then narrowly chose Beijing. IOC President Thomas Bach said at the time of Beijing that it really is a safe choice. So with that being said, how has that safe choice turned out? Well, not well. And before we get into the more serious problems, such as accusations of genocide against Uyghur, Kazakh, and Uzbek Muslims in Tibet and Xinjiang provinces, a mandatory app with potential security breaches, and the Chinese government censoring athletes, I would first like to talk about some of the other controversies there has been. One of China's theme songs, titled The Snow and Ice Dance, has been accused of plagiarism for its resemblance to Frozen's Let It Go, with eerily similar bars as you could see on the graphic beside me. For a direct comparison, since this is YouTube, I sadly cannot play the songs as they are copyrighted, but go watch Disneyland Experiences video, which link is in the description, and see if you can hear a resemblance. The region where the Olympics are being held in Beijing, Yanqing, and Zhangjiakou don't receive nearly enough snow for these events, which, considering they are hosting the Winter Olympics, is a problem. This means that the games will need 185 million liters or 49 million gallons of water to create artificial snow. Funny enough, Beijing's only competitor, Almaty, used this lack of real snow as a jab towards Beijing, with the city's actual candidate motto being, "Keeping it real." Beijing and the surrounding Hebei province are known for their air pollution, and unfortunately, it only gets worse in the winter. The amount of hazardous particles in the air per cubic meter, known as PM2.5s, is at 33 micrograms per cubic meter, which, while certainly is an improvement, and has for the first time met the Chinese government's goals, it is still 6 times above the 5 PM2.5s that the World Health Organization recommends. So with that out of the way, it's time to talk about some of the more serious problems. Number 1 likely being the accusations of genocide against Uyghur and other Muslims in the Tibet and Xinjiang provinces. The International Olympic Committee, the organization that runs the Olympics, has faced criticism for its willingness to host the games in a country with such human rights abuses as China. In response to DW News, the organization said that, at all times the IOC recognizes and upholds human rights, enshrined in both the fundamental principles of the Olympic Charter and in its code of ethics. We are responsible for ensuring the respect of the Olympic Charter with regard to the Olympic Games, and take this responsibility very seriously. And a side note, the allegations of genocide does contradict the unity of Beijing 2022's motto, which happens to be "Together for a Shared Future." It has been made clear that talking out of line at these games will not be tolerated. To hear a quote, Yang Shu, Deputy Director General of Beijing 2022's International Relations Department, said, "Any expression that is in line with the Olympic spirit, I'm sure will be protected. And anything or any behavior that is against the Olympic spirit, especially against Chinese laws and regulations, are also subject to certain punishment." What expressions draw the line between the surely will be protected Olympic spirit and the subject to certain punishment not Olympic spirit remains unclear. But athletes have been urged to not speak up while in China. And finally, the My2022 Health Check and other information app required for athletes has been discovered to have security flaws which could allow hackers to have access to several different functions of athletes' phones. This has made some organizations tell their athletes to use burner phones while participating in China. The Beijing Olympic Committee said of the report that first acknowledged these problems from Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto was lacking in facts and evidence. With all of these controversies, Beijing is the first Olympic Games to have a boycott in over 30 years. But they will continue to go ahead, and so far, with no athletic boycott. If you enjoyed this video or learned something from it, please consider clicking the like, subscribe, or even notifications button to help support Shattering News. And thank you all so much for watching this video about Beijing 2022. I know I'm supposed to be non-biased, but can we talk about these mascots for a second? I mean, okay,